Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Conversations with a Therapist, and our guest is Sylvia Atieno. She will be joining us in a minute, and she is trying to get into the live. So let's be patient and give her that time to get in. I hope you've been well. I hope your day has been good, and I trust that this is going to be a wonderful conversation. I trust that you will enjoy this. Listening to Sylvia tell us about her mental health journey and being a creative in this Kenyan space. Yeah, I think that will be a wonderful, wonderful experience. So let's hang in there and see if we'll be able to. Yep,
Hello.
there she is. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. Can you hear me? Can you see me clearly?
Yes, I can.
So I think you might have to raise the volume of your phone so that I can hear you.
Okay.
Because, yeah, it feels like you're a bit far. Let me check if it's me. Yeah,
And now?
peaceful. Yes, much better. Much better.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Welcome, Sylvia, to Conversations with a Therapist. Very glad to have you here and excited to hear your story as a creative in the Kenyan industry. Tell us how you are, how your day has been, and you can introduce yourself to us, who you are and what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
I'm okay. My day it hasn't been as productive, but I'm choosing to look at productivity in a different lens. So
Yeah.
it's been okay. It's been an okay day. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, and my name is Sylvia Atieno. I am a single mom. I am, of course, a daughter, a sister, a friend. And yeah, I'm also a chef and I'm a creative. I have existed, I like to say that I've been creative my whole life because I joined art school when I was very young, and then I went to music school, and then now I cook, which is still art. So those are the many things that I do.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
That's fantastic. You can get in there and tell us more about your background then. Now that you've mentioned that you started very young, you can tell us about your background in the three of those things, how one
Okay.
led to the other, what came before what, and the stories behind them.
Yeah, so I was raised at the coast. I grew up at the coast. I have one younger brother. My parents, our family, we were all at the coast. And I think for with the art, I just started, maybe I'll say it's more of like talent because I started when I was very young.
Hmm.
I would involve myself in this Kiwi art drawing competitions. And so I did it for a while. I think I grew up and I sort of like dropped it along the way. As for music, I'd always been singing. I used to sing in church. We have grown up in a very religious background, so I used to sing in church. At some point, I even used to like lead the choir. So it was and I think also my family, like my mom's side, especially, they are very musical. They are very good with music. So because I really, really liked it, even in high school, I was in the choir. And then after high school, I sort of told my parents like I want to go to music school. So I went to Sauti Academy. And then I did that for a few months. And then, just Nairobi. Nairobi, you need to learn how to be hands-on with very different things. So I
Yep.
actually moved to Nairobi. And then 2 years ago, I was volunteering with Action Aid. And we had an economic training program, and we had to come up with a business idea. And my quickest, because I've always also known how to cook for such a long time, I've just picked it up from my mom. In Mombasa, they like spices and very nice, the coastal meals. So I picked it up growing up. And at times I would even like cook for my friends and. So I came up with a cloud kitchen business idea. So cloud kitchen is basically just like a online restaurant. We don't have like a physical space, so I do everything from home. So the business idea was picked up and they funded, and I've been running my cloud kitchen for 2 years now. Music professionally, I didn't really pursue it. And even when it came to art, I like I mentioned, I dropped it along the way, and then I just came to rediscover it last year. Yeah, last year. So right now, I just do art and paintings for myself or to gift others. I don't really do it as business. So yeah, that is. I think I'm just surrounded with art. Let's just say, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. And congratulations for getting your business funded. That is a big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that must have been an exciting time. And I'm glad to hear also how the transition took place. Like one thing led to the other. And
Mm,
my
mm,
curiosity is considering the family background where you've said in your mom's side, on your mom's side, there's a lot of musical people, and of course
mm,
that definitely is an influence. Did you
mm.
what led to you dropping both music and art at that time, and now picking up art again? What led to that dropping, considering something you are quite interested in?
I think at times you're just young and you're interested in things, and then the interest just goes.
Mm,
And then you grow up, and especially with someone who's struggling mentally, I've had to get like things that I enjoy doing. So I picked up art as something that I enjoy doing, not for business, but just, some days when I'm a bit low, I just get some inspiration, I paint something, or I share it with, my friends after I do it, or I hang them in my room, or I do it for my son. So I think picking it up it's just like a hobby. I just picked it up as a hobby. And when I picked it up again, my hand was it came very naturally for me
yeah,
again.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think, talents and gifts. So it was very easy for me to pick it up again. And the music, well, let's just say existing as an artist in Kenya can be a bit exhausting, especially music. If you the returns, maybe at times you compare it to the states and everything where things are more advanced and the support is there. So I think I just decided, no, I don't want to do this professionally. So now it's just in the shower and karaoke and in church and at home. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether how difficult that decision was, considering most people take, especially with musicians, there's that desire to just keep
Mm,
making music and making music because it serves a
mm.
purpose for everyone. I'm wondering what felt like deciding to leave that alone as a career path to focus on other things because it didn't seem like a viable career path for you.
I think I usually say this thing. I say I'm a single mom living in Kenya. My child will not feed on hopes and dreams. I just
Hope
I
is
just
not a
say that.
strategy. Hope is
I
not a
just
strategy.
I say what?
Hope is not a strategy.
No, I it wasn't a tough decision for me, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I was still learning. I was still doing live events. I had a band, and everybody in my band was either a medical student or engineering. So even the dedication to the band was not 100% like someone
Ah,
like me who was doing
yeah.
it fully. So even the
Yeah.
band didn't work. And then even the live events, you can just see how it took, for me, it seemed like it was going to take a lot of time.
Hmm.
That my mind, I think for the longest time, I've not been able to fully focus on something and see it to the end. I really struggle. My attention span can be a bit. So even with my business, every day when I'm still in business, I keep on saying, "Wow, it's been 2 years."
Yeah.
So it wasn't a hard decision for me. It's just, I
Hmm.
think it was a harder decision for other people to actually believe that, hey, Sylvia, you're dropping music, you're so good at it.
Yeah.
I have friends in the creative space who are still trying to push me, take me for karaoke or invite me to live events. But the love for music is still there. My brother is also like a rapper.
Hmm.
So my son also sings. So because of even the space I'm in with my family, like the influence of music is still there heavily. And at times I toy with the idea. I'm like, okay, maybe I should start doing covers or I should start doing something for fun in regards to
Mm.
music. But the decision wasn't hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's good to be at peace with such kind of a decision, because then again I think there's also the pressure that creatives get to commercialize their work, and if you don't get commercial
Mm-hmm.
success, then it becomes you either are a failure, or
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to associate with you because they're thinking there's not much you can give us in terms of
Mm-hmm.
um, visibility. There's not much we can do with you because your work has not been commercialized enough. People are not buying your music enough for us to invest in you. So I really understand
Mm-hmm.
why anybody would not want to place that as a strategy for their long-term life, especially as you say you're a
Mm-hmm.
mom. You have to think about your child. This time around, it's not just you know when you're alone, you
Yes.
can decide, I'm gonna struggle with these 200 shillings and find food today. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're with a child and the school fees for
Yeah.
CBC, things can get very tough and
It's
tricky.
yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So I'm shifting gears a little bit to the major part of what conversations of a therapist with a therapist focuses on. We're going to
Mm.
talk about mental health. And from our conversation a while back, you mentioned that you have experienced anxiety and depression. And maybe this is a good time for you to invite us into that world and let us know what is that like? What is your experience with both anxiety and depression?
Okay. I
Yeah.
think now that I have, I've done therapy and I am seeing like a psychiatrist and I'm on medicine, I think now is when I really understand that I'd been living with trauma from a very young age. It was
Mm,
always something.
mm,
I also grew up very skinny, so it was either the bullying, it was, at times African parents are just they can be a lot. So it was small things that now as I came to like now grow up, I realized how they are seriously affecting me.
yeah.
My self-esteem, I really struggled with that, my anxiety, and I didn't even know, we didn't have words for these feelings. You
Yeah.
just know maybe you're scared or you're feeling lonely or there's some emotion that you constantly feel that's just so I think when I was like in my early 20s, I was, therapy in church, the church therapy, it just didn't work for me. Because even that time I was still rediscovering, like I was struggling with my relationship with God myself. Like my religious life was really slowing down.
Mm,
So yeah, I went into church therapy. It didn't work for me. It didn't feel safe. There's usually a lot of pressure to maybe not experience these human emotions, or you're a Christian, you shouldn't feel like this. So when I started like involving myself more with social media, I think you start to learn that what I'm experiencing is a common human emotion, but mine seems to be a bit more that
mm,
I'm struggling to cope. So I
mm.
need anchors. I need kitu that I can shikilia. I need help, professional help. I need to have someone I'm constantly talking to. And then it didn't get, actually, this year is when it's gotten really bad that I'm now on antidepressants, I'm on sleeping pills, I'm on anti-anxiety. Like this year is when it's been really bad, you know. So yeah, and also it helps with your chosen family, the people who you have in your corner, and the kind of support that they give you. And even as you grow older, you start having the language to communicate these things with your parents.
Yeah.
You're able to sit down, where you're now an adult, you're able to now have some conversations with them. So in summary, that has just been how my journey was. And then because I'm also someone who's very vocal on social media, I started actively for the longest time. I was always sharing things, feelings of sadness, feelings of worry. You know, I was constantly sharing. Maybe that time I didn't know what these things mean. But when I look back, even before I had the words for this, I was constantly opening, allowing myself to be open about my feelings and
Yeah.
allowing, like, letting people, like, opening, like an open book, you know, letting people experience just what your life looks like. And at times it's not nice. You know how social media can be bad, but it's just how I always was. I've been very vocal. So yeah, I mean, I think that's like in summary.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
When you mentioned that in your early 20s is you tried to go for the church therapy, what
yeah.
how what were the triggers around that led you to that direction? Because I'm thinking in the beginning you don't know that you need therapy. In the beginning you don't know you're struggling with anything yet, but you're just like I need help. Was it a referral?
Mm.
Was it someone who sat with you? How did you know that it was anxiety? How did you know it was depression? Things like that.
So that time I wasn't even going to therapy for anxiety or anything. I think I was just like I was a girl who's come from Mombasa. I'm now in Nairobi. I'm in university. I'm living on my own. I started becoming a bit reckless. So my parents were like, okay, now you need to settle down and you need to talk to someone, you know, someone needs
Yeah.
to sort of guide you. So them,
Mhm.
of course, they ran to church, you know, because that's all they've known their whole life. I think, I don't know if it's my uncle who recommended, I can't really remember.
Mm.
But yeah, I started seeing some therapist in there's some church along Mombasa Road. So
Mm.
that was my introduction to now therapy. It was called counseling. Yes, we were calling it counseling, church
Yeah.
counseling.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's true. And I think also because most of church counseling is not really done by actual counselors. I don't know in your experience if it was an actual counselor. Most of the time, it's usually church leaders who have taken up the role of guiding people and help them
Mm.
with issues.
Mm.
So most of the time, it's not professional help, and and also of course there are counselors who have. Uh, a religious leaning, but most of the time, church counseling is not professional counseling. So I think it's
Yeah.
always
Youth
important
leaders.
yeah, it's important
Mm. Mm.
put that
Clarify.
aligned, clarify vizuri that that is
Mm.
not counseling. That was somebody talking to you
Mm.
about something that they are maybe God.
Mm.
They are very familiar with God in religion. They have something to say
Mm.
about that. But yeah, during that time, your parents and your family, what was the support like? What did it look like? Your siblings, did they know what was going on?
So my brother, not really. Maybe I wasn't that open.
Hmm.
And with my parents, there was a lot of rebellion from my side because I felt like they don't understand, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And also myself, I don't have the proper words for this. I just know this counseling is not working. I
Hmm.
didn't want it. I was struggling. Also, I think the people who I was around, the company I was keeping was just not good.
Yeah.
So I just maybe I don't know. I can't remember if they really actually tried to support me, but I know that I resisted it. We were not understanding each other. I was having growing pains. I'm
Hmm.
in a new town. I'm experiencing some things that I don't feel safe telling them. Now that's the thing, because I didn't even feel safe telling them anything. So it was just such a bad time. There was
Yeah.
constant rebellion from my side. I think they're also frustrated because they don't understand. I think my mom is really trying to help me. She doesn't know where to start. You
Yeah.
know, she just knows, oh, my daughter, the devil, and my daughter, something like that. So that was what was happening. My brother didn't actively, I think he was, I think he was in Mombasa in school or something. I don't really remember. But yeah,
Hmm. And so when you say that, then who was supporting you? Who was on your corner the entire time?
I think now, you know, that time I've also mentioned I had very funny friends. So whatever they were saying is what, you know, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
even these parents don't understand. So even me, I'm like, yeah, huh, they don't understand. These parents. So I got very, I don't know if it's negative support or if that's what I needed during that time. So I just need to appreciate it. But I just know I had people in my space that time. And I was also doing a lot of, oh, you're alone, you have yourself, you're the only person in your corner. So I think that was what was actively going on that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the tipping point is when you started sharing on social media for you, or what was the tipping point? When did things start looking proper?
No, I'd always, even during this time, I was always, and you know how social media is, people can heart react. It doesn't mean that they mean well.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't mean that because you share and maybe there's a positive response, you don't know how genuine it is. But I have constantly been very vocal about whatever it is I'm experiencing in my life. So I was, even that time, I'm still writing, oh, I'm feeling so sad. Or maybe, that time is when poetry was coming in. So you write like a sad poem, things like that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay, okay.
Mm.
And so eventually you got to find a good therapist and a psychiatrist, as you mentioned, yeah. And
So
when did you?
I started seeing a psychiatrist, just a minute, I think.
I think we've lost Sylvia for a minute, and she'll be back. So let's be patient. I can see Lynn and Ndumba Karimi, you're in the live. So please stay with us as we wait for Sylvia to get back on. In the meantime, in case you have a question or you'd like to say something, you'd like to say hi to us, you can do that. You can send a message on the chat, and yeah, we can say hi to each other as we wait for Sylvia to get back on the live. And if you're liking the show so far, just let us know. Thumbs up will do. We'll appreciate your feedback. So let's give Sylvia just a second to get back on the live. So Sylvia is trying to get back on the live. She'll be on in just a minute. Let's give her a second.
I'm so
Oh, there
sorry.
you are.
Yeah.
There you are. Okay. Yes. So you were telling us how you ended up now seeing your therapist and your psychiatrist and that entire story, so that eventually you started managing with medication.
So I think as of last year,
Mhm.
I was also actively struggling. So I don't know. I think I have a relative who works in Madare. So I think I started actively telling my mom how I'm really struggling. So I started seeing doctors in Madare. The space became a bit too much for me because at times they take very extreme cases there.
Mm.
So I couldn't go physically anymore. And then I think I was on Xanax for a bit of time. And then I stopped because I think someone shared with me that it shouldn't be used for a long period of time. So I think it's when now I started therapy at some point towards the end of last year. Mid last year is when I was like, I think I actively need to see a professional therapist. And I started seeing one. I would have weekly sessions. And then I think this year is when I actively decided to go and see a psychiatrist because I relapsed and it was really bad. And I felt like therapy was exhausting me at that time because every week you have to show up and talk about how you're feeling. And at times you just want those feelings to stay in your head. You don't want to have to pull the words and now start telling someone, this is how I'm feeling. It became very exhausting for me. So I stopped. And then since the time my son was really sick, so I just asked for a break. I was like, I'm really stressed, so I need like a break from this therapy. So yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a psychiatrist and we spoke, and that is when we made the decision to put me on med. Yeah.
And what has been your experience with medication?
Well, it's been initially my body was really struggling, you know.
Mm.
The side effects can be really heavy. Then some years back, I'd added weight, but now the meds have also made me like add more weight. So it's been very involving in my life because I've had to now learn to love my body again. I've had to know how to like what I need to eat. I need to sleep at this time. So I've had to have a like sort of program. I've had
Mm.
to understand that there are days I'm just really struggling and it's okay for me not to show up for myself. I can just take like, so the medicine has sort of like I have a running program in my head. I have,
Yeah.
at times I also struggle because what they don't tell you is some of these medicines will just make you numb. They'll
Mm.
just block so many emotions. So I've
Yeah.
had to work with a lot of memory. I've had to really insist on who I need in my life. I've had to maybe stop explaining myself. I've had to constantly try and choose myself. So it's been good because the noise in my head is not as like it's not as loud anymore, you know.
Mm. Mm.
So it's been it's pros and cons, let's say.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think also it takes time, especially with medication. It takes time, and to find
Mm,
the right dosage, to find the right
mm,
mix of medication.
mm,
It takes a bit of time and a bit of patience. So I'm
yeah.
happy for you that you're on that journey and
Mm,
um, finding those things that you need in the pace that you need to, not rushing through, not
yeah.
taking too long for yourself, just knowing when you need help and asking for it, and getting it and receiving it.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Mm,
um now with that being the stage you are in your life right now, what's your relationship now with your family members and with your mental health as a conversation? Like when you're with your family members, how do you have that conversation at all? Have you had that conversation?
yeah,
What
I
do they
have.
know or not know? Yeah. Yeah.
So my parents actively know my diagnosis. They know that I am on medication. They know I see a
Yeah.
psychiatrist every 3 weeks. My mother specifically has been very supportive.
Mm.
Nowadays I'm able to just call and be like, hey, mom, I'm having a very hard time.
Mm.
And at times, and also because I've really worked on my relationship with God, I'm able to even lean on in the Bible or in Christianity for the days that I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
Because maybe I've curated, like I've discovered God for myself as an
Yes.
adult. So I'm able to have and at times even she tells me, let's pray. I don't take it like badly because I even want to pray for myself. I'm just not able to. So
Mm.
I think especially my mom has been very supportive. My brother has also, there are days when I can't even be a mom. And he just, without even me telling him anything, he just, at times, I may not even want to be on phone, and my mom will call him, and he'll just be like, "Yeah, Sylvia is not having such a nice day," and he's been very kind about it. My friends have been very kind, the ones that I have. My partner has been very supportive. So I have like people constantly cheering me on, on the days that I
Yeah.
can't even do something as simple as even showering. I'm
Yeah.
told it's fine. It's a hard day. You don't even need to do that today. It's fine.
Yeah.
You just make
Yeah.
sure you eat and get some rest. So I've been lucky. let me just say blessed, because this is what I needed. This is what that young Sylvia needed. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm not beating myself about it, because everything that I went through and I was struggling to find words worked out, because now I appreciate, like, I'm like, I look back and I'm like, well, I'm very grateful for what I have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I think that's an important aspect. Gratitude, it's everything. It's very
Mm.
important to see where you've come from, because I think also in the life that we live in, it's very easy to see the things that are not working out, to see what is not going well right now, what is not, what I don't have yet, what I want and what I need and I don't have yet. But then to be able to look back and be like, and even in the middle of all this, I actually have a lot more than I thought I would ever have. I have a lot more
Mm.
than most people do. I have a lot more than a younger me had. That is important. Gratitude
Yeah.
is a big.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really good. Thank you so much for sharing with us that story, your personal story, which is of course a
Mm.
vulnerable thing to do.
Mm.
And we really appreciate you opening up, being honest, being somebody who tells us the story that we don't get to hear on a day-to-day
Mm.
basis, because people don't talk
Mm.
about their struggle, and it's important that
Yeah.
we talk about these personal things, because they humanize all of us. They make those of us who struggle to know that we are not alone, and we are also trying to fight stigma. We keep saying let's fight stigma. This is one way, by talking about
Mm.
the things that have this tag of taboo. We have to talk about them so
Mm.
that we can bring them. So thank you very much for doing that. Um, what in your opinion, what do you think the Kenyan creative space can do to help creatives to support their mental health? Because I think it's a space where we have seen a lot of bad things happen to creatives in the creative space, not just in Kenya, even in the entire world. What do you think the Kenyan creative space can do to help and support creatives in their mental health journeys?
I feel like what you said, humanizing these feelings and these experiences. There's a very good friend of mine who, the work that she does, they've been very kind. When she took the job, she was like, I will have days when I'm struggling like this. I'll have days when I can't show up. And
Yeah,
the employers have been very understanding. So it starts with things like those. It starts
mm,
with normalizing this mental health of the days when you can't show up because mental space. Because at times the burnout happens because you don't have someone who's able to tell you, take a break. Then the
yeah,
pressure from society is a lot. So you're already struggling in your mind. There's someone who's constantly telling you you need to write another song, or why haven't you opened work today? So I feel like giving the creative space needs your mind to be active. It needs your mind to have rest. That's how you can actually be more creative. That's how you're able to get new songs out in the studio. That's how you're able to paint if your mind has rest. So I feel like normalizing and this thing of this Western culture, this isn't vitu za wazungu, we need to also drop that. Because
yeah,
then it means that as Africans, we are born of steel. We are not allowed to feel things like fatigue and things
yeah,
like stress and worry. So I feel like these conversations, normalizing, allowing people rest, the pressure from even us who are consuming your art shouldn't be, we don't need to be pressuring someone. So I feel like there are small things that all of us can constantly contribute to, especially like us in the creative space, because we
yeah.
understand how hard it is to exist already. So if we are
Mhm.
showing each other kindness, the inside will start. Sorry, is it the outside in? I don't know what that thing is. Where like if you have kindness here and it shows. So something
Yes.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's an important thing, and I think that also applies even beyond the creative industry in general.
Mm,
That's a human thing that we need to be kinder to
mm,
one another. Yeah, we need to be kinder to one
yeah.
another. Um, during even right now and during your entire journey, what mental health resources have been useful for you that you would like to share with either the listeners or a creative out there? Something that has been very useful for you that has come through for you, on several occasions that has been quite useful that you think anybody would benefit from knowing? What would that be?
So for me, it's been a lot of social media. I really filter what I consume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of these pages where they just have like funny. I don't think it's been anything serious per se. I have pages where if I'm having a hard day, I can go to this page and get like funny jokes and
Mm.
it'll make me feel better that time. TikTok also. So this is what I'll say. Mine has been social media, but
Yeah.
social media can be bad and it can really also be very helpful. Because
Mm.
also if you're leaning to social media a lot, I feel like your head becomes like, you know, the way kids watch cartoons and they even start speaking the way those cartoons are speaking. So I feel
Yeah.
like if you
Yeah.
consume it a lot, you're not able to live in reality sana. Which at times is not
Yeah.
a bad thing because at times you just want to escape maybe the noise in your head. Nah. So for
Yeah.
me, it's been social media. Uh, I've also been very privileged to have worked in like NGO spaces, to have worked with in spaces that are very accepting and are constantly having very modern and like open conversations about things. So that has really helped me. Like I
Yeah.
said, I didn't even have words for depression and anxiety. I didn't know you
Mhm.
can actually talk to someone. So the people that I have been around have also been having these conversations, which has been very helpful. But I
Yeah.
think for me, it's just been filtering what I consume
Yeah.
because I don't like to feel like something is pressuring me, maybe to live a certain way, or so I don't allow myself to constantly feed on such information. So social
Yeah.
media for me has been the biggest.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think what you're saying is curating that social media so that, as you say,
Mm,
you don't escape and then escape forever. You have to always come back to reality. But for you, it's about curating those spaces, making sure that the people you follow are people who are actually serving you. It's not
mm,
just following
mm,
anybody and everybody who's doing everything and everything on on the internet.
mm.
So yeah,
And
I think
serving
that's
you can look different. Serving can look
yeah.
different. Serving can look motivational. It can look like
Mhm.
jokes. It can look like
Yes.
even these songs that we put so that we are able to cry. If
Mm.
that's what you need for that day, you know. So
Yeah.
I feel like also the art space itself can be a very healing space
Mm.
because these are things that are in your head that you're sharing. For someone to share their gift like that, maybe if, I know for some it's a job, for most people it's a job, but
Yeah.
just being open and sharing, even if it's lyrics, if it's art, allowing other people, because the things like music, uh the art for painting, these are like your emotions, so you're allowing people to see bits of you, which can be
Mm.
very healing. So I feel like
Yeah.
the art space is actually such a healing place. It's not void of negative things and struggles, but art is very healing. I think
Mm.
that's why even now we are having conversations on how are we taking care of the people whose art we are consuming, the creative
Yeah.
space and mental health, things like this, because we also recognize that these are people who are letting you in on their lives, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think art
That's
is very healing. Art is very, very healing.
Yeah, that's very true.
Mm.
That's very true. And thank you for speaking on that and for letting us into that world and for allowing us to get a sneak peek of of your life and your story. We really are
Mm.
happy and proud to have been part of it. Um, Now, as you come to the end of this conversation, maybe this is a good time for you to let the audience know where to find you if they are looking for a chef, if they are looking for a painter,
Yeah,
if they're looking to invite you for music or whatever. Plug yourself.
yeah.
This is your platform now.
Well, my business is called Sisters Kitchen. So my business page is Sisters Kitchen on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't share my private Instagram, my personal one because it's private. I'm very
Yeah.
careful on who I bring in my space. But yeah, just Sister's Kitchen or Mama Howie, or yeah, Sister's Kitchen or Mama Howie. Mama Howie on Twitter, Sister's Kitchen on Instagram.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. Um,
Mm,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for coming today to have a conversation with a therapist. I really, really appreciate your time. And I
mm,
know anybody who has gotten the chance to listen to this will benefit from hearing your story, and they will know
mm,
that they are not alone. And people like you have gone ahead and have beat some of these things and are fighting them on a daily basis, and they're living full lives. It is not a definition of who you are. It is a part of your story, and an important part, yes, but a part of your story.
mm,
And you are
mm,
much more, you're bigger, you're stronger, and you're wiser. And every day you keep learning and growing and parenting and running
mm.
your business like a boss. So very happy to have had you here. Very grateful
Thank you
for your
so
time.
much for
Uh,
having me.
yeah. Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you everybody for watching, and thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. And we wish you all a wonderful evening. Have a good one and see you.